I'm Black, kipindi chaitwa Metamorphosis. Jifundishe, elimika na mwelimike.
This poem, written by an African child, was nominated for the best poem of the year 2005. It's titled Color. When I born, I black. When I grow up, I black. When I go in the sun, I black. When I scared, I black. When I sick, I black. And when I die, I still black. And you, white fellows, when you born, you pink. When you grow up, you white. When you go in the sun, you red. When you're cold, you blue. When you're scared, you yellow. When you're sick, you green. And when you die, you are gray. And you call me colored. Metamorphosis, Styles FM, Dr. Iman Black, your host. Greetings. After the sojourn, after the reflection, rest and relaxation, metamorphosis, transcending to the metaphysics.
Judge, see, and that does not mean the judge in what they call in our colonial judiciary system, see, in our imperial judiciary system. I mean the judge of righteousness.
Here comes the judge, hear ye him. Oh yeah, God save the African king. Anyone have anything to say before this just judge? Come say it now and say it like you're glad, and not like you're mad, for this judge have no mercy in this time.
Courts in session, silence in the court. The court's in session, silence in the court. The court's in session, silence in the court. The court's in session.
Christopher Cumberlas?
Yes, sir.
Francis Drake?
Yes, my lord.
Bartholomew de las Casas?
Your Honor.
Vasco da Gama?
Present Majesty.
Alexander so-called the Great?
I am here, sir. I am here.
John Hannon?
Sir.
James Grant?
Your Honor.
David Livingstone?
Yes, President Miranda.
John
Present.
Constantine?
Yes, sir.
Henry Martin? Arthur Polo?
Yes, sir.
Now say after me. I solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Silence in the court. The court's in session. 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 Silence in the court. The court's
Metamorphosis.
session. Silence in the court. The court's in session.
You're all brought here and count one. Robbing and raping Africa. Phantom. 2, stealing black people out of Africa. 3, brainwashing black people. 4, holding black people in captive for more than 300 years. 5, killing over 50 million black people without a cause. 6, teaching black people to hate themselves.
Execution, Your Honor.
Court's in session. Silence in the court.
If any of you have anything to say before this execution,
Judge, see, and that does not mean the judge in what they call in our colonial judiciary system, see, in our imperial judiciary system. I mean the judge of righteousness.
Metamorphosis.
comes the judge.
Metamorphosis.
Oh yeah, God save the African king. Anyone have anything to say before this just judge? Come say it now and say it like you're glad, and not like you're mad, for this judge have no mercy in this time.
Court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session.
Christopher Cumberlas,
Yes, sir.
Francis Drake,
Yes, my Lord.
Bartholomew de las Casas,
Your Honor.
Vasco da Gama,
Majesty.
Alexander so-called the Great,
I am here, sir. I am here.
John Hannon,
Sir.
James Grant,
Your Honor.
David Livingstone,
Yes, President Marana.
John
President.
Constantine,
Yes, sir.
Henry Martin,
Yes,
Arthur Polo.
yes, sir.
Now say after me, I solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Silence in the court. The court's in session. 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 Silence in the court. The court's in
Metamorphosis.
Silence in the court. The court's
Stars
in
FM.
session. Silence in the court.
Dr. Iman Black, live.
Session. Silence in the court. The court's in 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 session.
Your Honor.
You're all brought here and count one. Robbing and raping Africa. Phantom. 2, stealing black people out of Africa. 3, brainwashing black people. 4, holding black people in captive for more than 300 years. 5, killing over 50 million black people without a cause. 6, teaching black people to hate themselves.
Execution, Your Honor.
Court's in session. Silence in the court.
If any of you have anything to say before this execution, say it quick, say it glad. This judge is getting impatient.
Your Honor, it's only
Contempt,
Your Honor, it's only 10
no mercy, penalty for all this. Each of you must be hung by the tongue.
But Your Honor, we've been forced.
No appeal will be accepted.
Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session.
Yeah, it is the Metamorphosis. Live on Stars FM.
Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up,
stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. You preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. You are dopey and you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitter is gold, and half a story has never been told. So now we see the light. We gonna stand up for our rights. Come on, get up, stand up. Brothers, stand up for your rights. Come on, get up, stand up. Sisters, don't give up the fight. I'm begging you to get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. I said don't give up the fight. Cause you know most people think a great God will come from the skies and take away every little thing and left everybody dry. But if you know what life is worth, you would look for yours right here on earth. And now we see the light. We gonna stand up for our rights. Come on, get up, stand up. Don't make them push you around. Stand up for your rights. Come on, brothers, get up, stand up. Be brave now, don't give up the fight. I say get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Don't let them hold you
Away
down.
from Africa, with the intention to steal our culture. That's good for the past by instead. Humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself, my little one. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother,
Eli. Greetings. Tinastilin. Rastafari. Powers. Cosmic ranges of thought. Hail I them. All listeners, here, there, and everywhere. We say, greetings again, Dr. Iman Black, coming out of a period of hours, rest, relaxation, reflection, refocusing, rethinking, realizing that much of our struggles have been almost time wasting. But before I get into my personal presentation, I want to give thanks first and foremost to the ones who's sitting in the metamorphosis in my absence. So, hail up Philip Ambokili Henry, artist and educator, who I thought showed them his views and insights on the whole concept of immortality and art and the connection to those education systems that deny the intuitive room to grow. So again, hail up Ambokile, artist and painter and entrepreneur and Rastaman and Rafrican, all embodied. And blessings to the family, hail to the family. Hail up also to Ras Makonnen, who gave you a double shot. And again, the importance of culture and education and religion, how these things intertwine. And how ultimately economics is the way to advance our conditions. So, heal up. Give thanks again that the Styles FM facilitates and accommodates that the reasoning can be advanced. Yeah. So at the individual level, I was in a position where I think it's important that ones and ones make moves and change angles and change ultimately perspectives. And so distance is an important part now in helping to create differences in perspective. So, I have quite a few things I really want to share with the item that I am on site up over the period of time, and the way the earth is running now and the condition of the black man and the black woman and the black family and the condition of black people globally. Those seem to be improving as the weeks go by. And so I'm going to have to be looking into the whole thing. Why, as a nation of a people, why we don't even see ourselves as a nation? Why we don't claim ourselves as a race? And I have to be trying to really find the kernel, the whole essence of how this thing grow to reach this point. So reflection within time and distance helps to give you a new perspective. So for example, if one lives in Port Antonio and one lives in Lucy, which is Hanover, the two persons are living in Jamaica, but they have two different perspectives of Jamaica because of the way they are located. So if the person from Port Antonio go to Lucy and sit on the beach there and reflect on him or herself and think of themselves in Port Antonio, they will see themselves a bit different. And even the place that I'm coming from will also look different because the perspective have changed. You're no longer in the bowl. You come out of the bowl and you're on the outside. And the same thing is in the reverse. The person from that end coming this end, everything seems different and you get a different view of where you are coming from. Well, I want to extend that analogy now to the whole idea of developing perspectives, points of view, and validity. How do those points of view become valid? Do you need others to verify the point of view, or do you use your intelligence and common sense to come to some kind of conclusion? Well, let me say now, you see the distance thing? I'm on losing now, trying to find the kernel, the foundation to how is it after 2,000 years of black people surviving in the Western world with all of these levels of education and finances, how is it the condition of the race has not really improved? What is it that is within the mind of the African people collectively that holds them almost in one spot? So, going further into self for exploration and culture and history, I return again to the perspective now. So I'm on in Porto now, and we're going to say Negril or Lucy is the other point. Moran Point to Negril Point. That distance, let us say, is 110 miles, for example. It might be more, it might be a little bit less. No, that distance from Porto to Negril to Lucy, 110 miles. Let us visualize that and hold that distance in our minds for a minute. I know, say, if you make the return journey, it's another 110 miles. So you have traveled about 220 miles going forth and back. Well, that journey, if we were to turn that journey off the planet and upwards, remember now on the island using imagination, that same journey, the distance, 200 miles. Want to turn that distance now towards the heavens and think of a place 200 miles off the planet. Is there such a place? And there is a place a little bit over 200 miles off the planet. And people are actually occupying that. Human beings are there. And I just raise this to say to the item now. Perspective from that distance would change radically if one and one was to get that view of the earth. In other words, if I and I was able to get that 200-mile distance away from the earth and to look forward onto the earth, it would have an impact on how we view everything, including ourselves. So I am saying this to the item now. 220 miles above us, there is a station on which human beings occupy, 5, 6 of them at a time. The station goes around the planet every 90 minutes. No, this is reality now, you know. This is not a fiction. And these human beings that occupy this station, they rotate. Some stay 3 months, some stay 6 months. And it becomes a laboratory for testing all kind of things, including human beings' behavior in gravity, no gravity, and all sort of research and experiment take place in those stations. The point I want to make now as an African, as a black man, there are no black people on that station. And no black people have ever been to that station. So if I and I was to really get a chance to move 200 miles away from the earth and look on the earth, you know, so it might evoke some memories in me that it might frighten all the white men in the station. Because pure white people up there, you know. And a few Japanese who call themselves yellow. So it forced I and I now to really look differently on this planet, this plane. Because those people up there, they have no faith in any God. None of those people there in that station praying for safety. Because last week, the instruments on the station began to show that the pressure was falling. And if the pressure inside the station keep falling, the man, I'm going to run out of oxygen and I'm going to suffocate. So immediately, they set out to search to find where was the thing. And then find a little hole. A little hole. Them arguing now over how the hole get there, whether it was caused by a small micrometeorite or whether it was caused by human beings. And when they do them analysis now between the Russians and the Americans, them realize that is somebody accidentally bore a hole. And you know, say, with that disagreement, the man them decides they will not make that be an issue and disturb the harmony in the space station. They will just simply plug the hole and continue along their merry way. The point I am making is that at that station, 200 miles above the earth, white people are in complete harmony. Total harmony. So it forced I know to look on the earth from that distance and wonder, what is it that is really going on this earth? Why the majority of the population of black people are servants and slaves? Where and how did we get ourselves into this position? And so that's where I want to take the reasoning. How did we get into this condition? And some dates to start the look is important. One of the dates I want to start with is a date called 50 BC, 50 years before the Christian era. And in that point in time, the records show that the Romans conquered Egypt. They closed the last Egyptian temple university. They shut down the last one. And I'm saying to the item that is from that point in time till this time, 2018, we've been under some heavy whitewashing of the brain. And so we have to address What are the elements that have brought us to this condition? Why, even though we are educated now, we're still slaves and servants to the white race. Metamorphosis.
Club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
Remember Styles FM on social media. View us on YouTube, Styles FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Styles FM. Like us on Twitter at Styles FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook. Styles FM 96.1.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on
518-2399. 518-2399.
Don't forget, 518-2399. Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Black. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Ditchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
always giving thanks and praises that we have resources in our culture and in our genetic pool, in our genetic memory, in our ancestral forces. But there seems to be a great disconnect where we end up just simply speaking about these things without moving into action. And everybody has been saying it. How come black people talk so much? Whole heap of talk. And little wee bit of action, particularly collective action. But we have mass talking. And it's even evidenced by island like Jamaica why we attract these telephone companies who know that people in Jamaica love to talk. And we just chat with no objective but just simply to chat. But the collective thoughts that move one towards action in a decisive way and sustainable way, we don't have the power to do that. So why is that power lacking? Where is that power to transform talk into do? Some things are missing. So I also know, with all of the education the Roman society has given black people for the last 2,000 years, still behind. So there's something that we're not observing. And so you have people who are versed in history, and they have a reasonable concept of identity, and they have knowledge. But I'm saying, no, the problem rests in what we're going to call their perspective. And it is the perspective that I want to address. And who defines the perspective from which we hold our concepts? Now, if you look around you, and you look into your environment, you notice that it is influenced by forces. So I want to speak about this idea of forces. What are these forces that are in the environment? And these forces now, we can begin to observe them from a distance. Let us take the perspective again, 200 miles above. So when you observe the Earth, it appears to be a sphere. It appears to be ultramarine, aquamarine in color. And the closer you come to the Earth, as the astronauts have to do to return, the more you begin to observe certain things about the planet itself. And one of the things you begin to discern is that it has covering, cloud covering. And the covering serves a purpose, because there is radiation coming from the sun, and this certain kind of function that the clouds play with the radiation from the sun. But there's also a layer that we can't see, and they call it the ozone layer. And that layer also holds off radiation to an even greater degree than even the clouds. So there are forces now, and there are force fields and energy fields that we have to penetrate before you can even get to the surface. And once you begin to get closer to the Earth, you begin to recognize that there are some elements that really make up everything. Elements like air, which is wind, and there's water, fire. You begin to identify some basic elements: fire, water, air. And these things are forces, especially when they interact. So even the vessels to return to from space have to deal with the force of heat. And if the shields on the vessel are not properly put together, the thing will just simply evaporate in fire. So we have forces that we know that permeate the earth: wind, air, water, fire. And these forces now have a way to generate certain levels of energy. So the concept of energy now becomes an important concept to view and understand, because without energy there is no movement. And the primary source of energy within our setup here is the sun. So we've recognized that there are forces. Solar energy is a force. Solar is a type of energy that is literally endless, because the sun is there. So when you come into closer to the planet Earth now, you realize that there is vegetation and there is water, and there's just two basic components of the planet: is liquid and solid. Land, earth, and there's water. And they tell us that 2/3 of the whole planet is covered with water. 1/3 is covered with land. So this land here now becomes the habitat or the site where animals and plants and human beings and man will have to find a place to live. The oceans, we know, are already well occupied with all forms of life. And the ocean life within the historical development of the planet is more ancient than the life on the land. So we begin to see that the planet is a life form unto itself. The planet is alive, and the planet gives life. So the animals and the plants and the man and human beings have to find a way to survive on the land. Now, here it becomes interesting, because when you begin to come into the planet Earth now and see all the things set up, the animals and the plants really have a symbiotic relationship. In other words, now, the plants feed the animals. And the plants are more ancient than the animals, because the plants not only feed the animals, the plants create atmosphere that animals now can even breathe. So the thing is organized, the thing is structured, animals and plants. Now we come to two other life forms now that are causing the problems, which is the human beings and man. And I'm making a distinction that there are human beings and there is man. And the struggle that we seem to be engaged in is a struggle that man have to face against these human beings. Yeah, man, and the man is the original, you know. Man is original. Man is the most ancient, intelligent form on the planet. Consciousness, in terms of consciousness. We have to discuss and find out where this concept of human being come from. Because the planet is being overrun by the behavior of the human beings. And we'll check out the ancients of the planet and explore the concept of man. We know that the man, the most ancient man, is the melanin man. The most ancient man is the pigmented man. And what we're having on the earth now, we're having a struggle. And the struggle is between the people of pigment and the people without. And so I now have to begin to address the whole philosophy and teachings of the people without pigment. What is it that they are put into I consciousness? Why we operate so backwards? What is it in the education that they have given I that we operate so backwards? It is time for a different type of reflection and a different perspective. And we're going to enter through Egypt and the interference in Egypt by the Romans, because this is the beginning of the whitewashing, and this is where the perspective needs to be addressed. Metamorphosis.
I don't make up I and I mind to go through the same thing like I and I forbearance, but cheerings. Cry blood, Africa, cry blood.
Perspective. You know, there are a lot of rain dropping in Portland tonight. And this is a tail end of a dying storm. A dying hurricane. Isaac died on his way to Jamaica. And Jamaica celebrate because we pray with Isaac, you know, so we're powerful. We can pray away hurricanes. And when them come, we just have to suck it up and just say it's the will of God. So we have our environment that is tricky because of the forces that surround us. So in the present dispensation, in this point in time in the earth's history, there are fires, there are floods, typhoon. Earth shook Jamaica a couple of days ago. You feel it, Cassidy? You never feel it when the earth shook. Yeah, man, people try to run and couldn't run. So I said to the eye now that there are forces. Yeah, forces that we're going to call in nature. Now, it is summertime. It is these forces now that when people can find the cause of these forces now, they turn to superstition, and oftentimes they turn to religion to try to explain these forces that occur in nature. So when wind, air, and fire move and get organized, and temperature change and speed step up in the wind, and the typhoon and the tornado and all these forces blow, man have to run and hide and duck. Sometimes you don't know where to run because you don't know when to run from an earthquake. You don't know when it's coming, and you don't know where to run. So we have to acknowledge that there are forces in the earth, and forces that surround the earth, and forces that maintain the earth. Now, as black people now, we have to look at the perspective relatively to ourselves and those forces. And how do we come to our understanding of the cause of those forces? Do we turn to other people to explain to I and I the cause of these forces, or do we look into our own cultural selves and our own history and our own scientific perspective to know what is what? So as we approach the earth again from a distance and realize that there are natural forces here in the earth, there are plants and that there are animals and that there are species and that there are kingdoms and phylums and all different groupings of life forms. When we come now to self, people, which is a general term, this is where the conflict and the war and the strife and the struggle and the oppression is among these forces of elements of life that we find this struggle. And why and what is the purpose of that struggle? Why is it that one group or life form must be kept in oppression by another? And what is the justification? And what is the cause for that being sustained? And why cannot that thing be overthrown? So on the earth now, we realize that it's man and humans that are engaged in this thing. And the struggle seems to be a struggle over power. Power. And the word I want to use to speak to this power struggle is a word that the Europeans have introduced to I, which is a term of concept of domination. Because this term has been introduced into I consciousness. Because the European man, the Caucasian, the white man, has this trait as part of his makeup, the desire to dominate. Now, domination comes with certain other implications. And in a very social context, when you speak about domination, you're going to have injustice. Because it is upon injustice that you build your domination. So what we find in the world now is that the ancients of the earth shows us that the culture, the greatest cultures came out of Africa and out of Asia. And that the original cultural people were Africans and Asians. And when we say Asians, we're speaking about the group of people we call the Indians and the group of people we call Chinese. We can call them Orientals, we can call them Indians, we can call them Asians. So these are the groups of people who represent world culture and originality. And these are the groups of people who have felt the wrath of the Europeans. These are the groups of people who have felt the genocide and the domination of white people coming out of Europe. So African people now, we have to try to realize, when did this thing begin, and when did we become subject to this domination? And I try to use a date in history, in our story, 50 BC, that 50 years before the Christian era, when the barbarians, the Romans, finally got control of Egypt. That is the beginning of our end. Because it's from that point in time I'm suggesting that European white man perspectives and philosophies started their campaign to dominate the world. That white man culture would become the dominant culture, because what they really working to do was to replace and to overpower black culture. And black culture is out of that culture comes the mathematics, the science, the arts, the chemistry, the physics. And it's in that culture now we have to find our own healing. And the healing that we're searching for now is not biological, because that is just one aspect of our makeup. Our biological life is under attack with fast food and everything that is not good for our system. So we want to heal not the biological, But we want to heal the psychological. We want to heal the mind, the fractured, traumatized mind of the black man. So we need a special type of physician. Because the regular MD can't help us. NB going to give us injections and prescriptions. So what we need now is a physician that can deal with the mind. We need to move from metamorphosis to metaphysics. We need to become metaphysicians. Meta means above, beyond. We have to move beyond what is apparently normal to get into the crevices and the corners of ourselves. Metamorphosis.
Yes, none is crying out for justice. Everyone is crying out for peace. Yes, none is crying out for justice. I don't want no peace. I need equal rights.
Now, wherever there is a philosophy of domination, there will be no justice. Because the concept of domination suggests that somebody will be under oppression. And this old dominant philosophy now, is something that the Romans, I would say, are the architects of that philosophy. Because when the Greeks came into Africa, they came as students. Them couldn't come conquer nothing. They became students and they learned and they gathered a culture out of Africa as we helped them build a society that they call Greece. And we know that the greatest Greek scholars spent most of their time in Egypt, sitting at the feet of African teachers and scholars and priests. The Romans now, we know, were barbarians coming out of the hills and the mountains of Europe. So they came with an invasion mentality. And so they actually invaded and conquered ultimately Africa, East, Egypt, Ethiopia side. So we find that things like religion and education and that whole system will be generated and developed by the Romans. And that's what they used and spread around the world to maintain a certain level of them dominance. So while Rome ruled the world with military force, there would come a time when the military force would decline, but it would mean the decline of Roman power, because the power of Rome still existed in the various institutions that they created, particularly them education and religious systems. So we have to look now into how is it we became whitewashed? How did African thinkers and the black mind from 50 BC to the present, how it has become so whitewashed that we now glorify our educated blacks claiming that they're now enlightened. This is the highest level of bleaching. You see, that is the highest process of bleaching, when you can get the mind and the brain to be enlightened. Now it's at the level of the skin again. And we condemn those who try to lighten their skin. But those who try to enlighten their brains, we give them credit because they are now going to be classified as bright. But we don't need bright black people to transform our state. We need intelligent and conscious black people. So the system that we inherit and propagate as an educational system doesn't promote and develop conscious black youths. It promotes bright youths, develop bright youths, and bright youths are usually tricky. So the system restock itself. And we have to pause and really look at the perspectives that we're holding, even with this education that we have. How did we come to hold the idea of morality? How did we arrive at what is good and what is evil? We were given one book, and that book became the foundation of the very earliest of education given to black people, and that education was in Sunday school. So the black man was exposed to two educations. In the plantation, Sunday school. In the emancipation period, the public school. But the Sunday school is the foundation. And all of our bright people have been subjected to the curriculum of Sunday school. And it is the Sunday school curriculum wherein lies our greatest problems. Because it is in that school, led by teachers with no training, but drilled by fear, that this book, one book, that is the foundation of the Sunday school, is the Bible. And it's out of that one book, black people now are given the concept of world history. It's out of that one book, black people are given the concept of morality. And so all our literature, all our texts that we have created long before this 2,000-year period have been put on the shelves. And when I say shelves, I mean you have to go to Europe to find these books. You have to go into the museums. And we know that a lot of these books were burned by the same Europeans. So we have to revisit how did we arrive at the concept of what is good and what is evil. Because the book now introduces us to domination. And the book tells us in the early stages that man is given dominion over all things. Now, who is making that statement? Who is declaring that human beings must have dominion over all things? We're talking about power. We're talking about dominance, governance. And ultimately, when we examine the concept of dominance, it reflects itself in our culture. And that culture is driven by white males. The dominant culture. Today it's called white supremacy. It's really white domination.
It's Wow Factor Tuesdays with Chungy and Shelly. Every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's entertainment and interaction at its best. With features like the Share to Care segment, the Uprising 10 Countdown, and the ever-controversial Love Break. Yes, it's the Wow Factor. Your Tuesday mornings will never be the same again.
Are you sick of living an average life and tired of just getting by? Do you want to take your life to the next level? Learn the secrets of the super successful. Listen to Power in a Half Hour with Coach Mark this and every Wednesday night on Styles FM from 9 to 10 p.m. Learn the habits of the super successful and how to make these habits work for you. Learn to turn your dreams and desires into reality. You can win in the game of life. Let Coach Mark show you how. Every Wednesday night on Styles FM from 9 to 10 p.m.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Black. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Ditchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Off the way. So when we look now at this great planet called Earth with its resources of land and sea, the richest and most prosperous piece of land, continent on this continental size, is the continent of Akbulan, the Black Continent, Kemet. All of the resources, it is really heaven on earth. The continent is heaven on earth. Now the continent have people that are indigenous to it, meaning they have been there for 200,000 years. Yeah, 200,000 years, 250,000 years. The geneticists and the anthropologists and the various researchers have identified the fossils and relics of black people on that continent 250,000 years old. Now, it means that in other places, maybe even in other places in Asia, you also have cultures in that time existing within that time span as well. So the history of the earth is thousands and thousands of years, as well as the history of the cultures of the ancient cultures. And I mentioned earlier, the Asiatics and the Africans are the most ancient cultures on this planet. But what we have here now is a invasion by an alien force, an invasion out of Europe. And this invasion we're going to spread around the world like leprosy. Everything it touches is going to get white. And this invasion would bring in conflict the cultures of ancient world, black cultures, with the culture of the Iceman, the caveman. And here we'd have a serious conflict under the earth because the struggle would begin because the caveman would decide that he wanted some of the prosperity that the sunny side of the world had to offer. The development and the culture that was already deep in the earth as a history was new to the European. So the European has a perspective on the world, wherein the world is a place that is hostile. And so the European must always be in contestation and always be in a struggle. This is an attitude that would overpower other peoples. And if you put along with that attitude ammunition and weapons of destruction, you have a very dangerous and vicious force in the earth. So what we really have to recognize now is that the tranquility will be broken by the invasion, not just of the Europeans, but at first by the Arabs. And the Arabs would bring into Africa a philosophy based upon a concept of a God named Allah. And so the African people were introduced to this alien called Allah. And certain sections of Africa underwent submission to this philosophy. And the price that Africans paid is dear and still being paid amongst Arab people. So that is the first invasion. And the second invasion came with the Romans. And they brought with them their concept of a God called Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever. But this was a Christian crusade. So African people now are being challenged by these two alien ideologies. And ultimately what you begin to realize that it is ideologies that are really working its way through man and humans, through people and societies. It's ideologies. And these are created by the brains of people. So when the Romans finished with Africa, Africans were embracing Christianity to a serious degree, to the point where we were now being indoctrinated to a concept called a son of God, a savior. And this will become a very important cornerstone in the philosophy of the European, as he would impose this ideology on the black people. But what I want I to realize now is that we have to stop a little bit and check now what is it the man them have been teaching us from the Romans coming to Egypt. What is it they have been trying to impose upon I that has now taken root? And remember now, them come with the idea to capture. And so there is a politics and there's a psychology. The psychology is one that makes the group under suppression become dependent. In other words, now, the dominant group must make the captured group dependent on them for their survival. And this dependency now is not just physical. They create a psychological dependency. How is that done? When we look at the education system now that the Romans would offer, and the education system would have reached us in full force during the plantation days. And that education system now, as I was saying to them earlier now, would have manifested itself through the Sunday school. And the Sunday school was to promote Christianity and the Bible. And it's through this ideology now that the Romans and the white men in Europe would maintain a level of control over the minds and the thinking of the black people. But we're going to get out of it because we're going to begin to ask the real hard questions. One of the things that sink into our brain out of the Bible is what is told to us on the very first page and the very first 4 lines that says, in the beginning. This is a point for philosophy. But in the Sunday school that we were exposed to, these were the schools where you couldn't ask questions. So you can't ask a question in Sunday school. You just absorb and recite and memorize, but you never question and you never query, so you don't think. Well, I am going to encourage them now to, for me, for the first time, think about some of these stuff that we embraced in that period of our lives. And the philosophy is what they gave us. So the concept of in the beginning deals with start and stop, beginning and ending. And to the average mind, everything have a beginning. Yeah, you tell a man, you say, yeah man, everything have a beginning. But if you begin to move beyond the obvious and get into the philosophy of the concept of a beginning, you have to begin to concentrate and ask yourself, is it the beginning of something tangible or something intangible? Because all things that are finite have a beginning. All things that are material have a beginning. But there are vast amounts of things that are not material. And so these things, we have to question now, do these things have a beginning? For an example, time. Time is an example of a non-material concept. So how can time have a beginning? How can time have an end? Another concept is space. Where does space begin? Where does space end? Now, if we could ask these questions in Sunday school, we wouldn't so stupid today. We wouldn't hold on to ideas of cow jumping over moon and dish running away with spoon. Our mind would never be able to entertain those ideas, but give us some things that are really contradictory and conflicting, and they make us stupid. But we can't ask any questions, otherwise now we're trampling in God's business. Yet we are supposed to be the children of God, and we can't ask our parents a question. The Sunday school that we were brought up into was a house that was governed by fear. And the whole idea was to make us fearful, particularly in our thoughts. Don't think. So we go again to the question about the beginning. If there is a beginning, then there must be something responsible for the beginning. That something is given all different types of names. That something is called by many people the Creator. That something is called the Most High. That something is called Father God. That something is given all kinds of names. Yet, that something should also have a starter. Something should begin that something. And then what is it that is responsible for beginning that something? In other words, now, if we begin to think about the concept of a beginning, in time, we realize that time is an infinite concept. There is no beginning to time, and there is no end to time. There is no beginning to space, and there is no end to space. If we hold these ideas, then we begin to ask the question about what then is the Most High? Where is this Most High? And why should I and I bow down and serve this concept of the Most High? when that same concept of the Most High oversees and oversaw my enslavement. That same thing that they tell you is there is the foundation of Islam and Christianity. The two world's great religions who are always at war. So in other words, that something is supervising war between people fighting over the religion that the something is in charge of. Make us up and think. Into the metaphysics. There is nowhere to run. There is nowhere to run. So we have to stand up and deal with the confrontation as it is. You see, it's ideologies that have been created. White men have created ideologies and have forced these ideologies in the consciousness of black people. Forced it, brutally. That our generations from 50 BC till now, 2018 years plus 50, 2063 years now, 2068 years of whitewashing. That's a long time. Hey, 2,000 years of whitewashing. And yet, can't get rid of all of the black. The blackness still surviving, still maintaining its consciousness, manifesting in males and females in different parts of the earth, still refusing to die. Because the foundation of earth is black people. 90% of the world's population is people of melanin. 10% of the world is Caucasians. And then that 10%, out of that 10%, the entire world is controlled, literally, military-wise and through ideology. So where there's no military force, where there are no guns pointing at you to conduct yourself a certain way, something else is pointing at you. And it's something that is in your head. It's something in your head. And it's a program that we have been programmed that having us working backwards. Yeah, we have to be running backwards. While everybody else is going forward. And it is grounded in the ideology. And it's not in the public school teachings. Because public school teaching, you can cross-check and double-check what I'm telling you, through chemistry and history and mathematics. Those various things that you learn in public school. You can double-check it. But you see, that at school where we go to before, and this is the downstairs plant in a way, that we know bright people get conscious and high degrees. There's a level of dunceness that is grounded into the philosophies that were given to us in the pre-public school. And then these ideas now were reinforced in the house by the parent, especially the mothers. So it goes again to the power of control and fear. And the biggest controller put into our consciousness is God. Yeah, the fear of God. And the whole God concept has captured and frozen black people's consciousness that we can't even move without we say something about God. And that same God concept is what we have been told is merciful and loving. And when the black people were in the bottom of the slave ship, vomiting upon each other and dying mercilessly, that loving God was there observing from the heavens. We have to reject that ultimately now, because that is the deepest fear. Our greatest revolutionaries who licking out against things are still a hold on upon a Father God. Yeah, and a Father God going to carry him through. And it's 2,000 years now from the Romans invade Egypt. We holding on to this Father God concept. And in holding on to that concept, we have released ourselves from the mother. So we're in a bind and out of fear. Out of fear. And when you question that old Father God concept, it comes out of the Sunday school teachings that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. And a man will tell you, brethren, look around you. Man couldn't make this. Somebody have to make it. Well, somebody had to make the something that made that. That's something that made that. So we begin to realize that nothing is really made in the sense out of a beginning. Things are cycled and recycled. Because I'm saying everything has always been here. Everything has always existed. Because energy has always existed. Energy we know, and they tell us, cannot be created. And energy cannot be destroyed. What I and I need to know is that the I within is that energy. The I consciousness is the source of your reality. And that energy is real. That is like a flicker of light, which is still light, even though it's a flicker. It's like when the rain clouds, Lego raindrops. Each drop has its own identity, Each drop has its own experience traveling from the clouds. So when it hits the ocean, it becomes one. There is no more identity. It has joined the whole. So it's a process of movement. There is no end. There is no beginning. So when we get that consciousness, then we don't need no Father God. And even more so than that, we don't need no opposition to Father God, which is this concept now called a devil. So the construction of forces to fight each other have been implanted in black people for 2,000 years. So we literally literally at war with ourselves. Because we're defining good and evil from the perspective of a white man, of a European. He is telling us what is good and what is evil. And how did he tell us that now? Through stories. Goes back to the Father God story again. You imagine, because we have to imagine, a man sit down a couple 100 years ago, maybe him name Elijah or him name Jeremiah, one of them kind of man there. And them man they go and tell you now about a heaven in which the Creator lived before the earth was created. Yeah, there's a man on the earth now, telling us about a place that exists before him and the earth even exists. And in this place here now, there was a great struggle. We are told that the Creator God had an army of angels. And all of these angels were male. All of these angels were white. So, in the beginning of the book that is given to us as the Word of God, we are given a structure. We are told about a structure in a place called the Kingdom of Heaven. And in this place here now is goodness rule, because this is the home of the Creator. But then we hear so there's a rebellion. How this man stay on the earth here and write about that, only he knows. But we as a people have internalized those stories and take them literal. So them tell you about a battle in heaven. And war fighting now, angel versus God and them friend them. So we as black people now, we have been imagining and internalizing these fantasies and trying to make sense out of nonsense. And so a man writing that a war fight and an angel lose and his army lose. I don't know how the war was determined, whether it's who one side had more casualties than the other. But to hear the Lucifer side lose. Lucifer now was this bright and beautiful angel. This is a man describing another man. Bright and beautiful. And I'm saying this kingdom is not a kingdom for black people. This kingdom is a kingdom of white men who see each other as beautiful. The kingdom of men. And it's out of that kingdom now we hear say, Lucifer get kicked out because him get ambitious. And on his way falling from heaven, where think him fall on the planet Earth. And it just so happened that on his way down, he became black. Because, black now become the symbol and the representation of evil. These are the stories that we must begin to change our perspective on. And realize that it is self-condemnation to embrace those stories as reality. We have to begin to revisit and rethink about what really is good. What is evil? Where are those sources really coming from? Because it is evident that they're not coming from the sky. Because the evil that I felt and still feel is coming from people, human beings, Europeans, Caucasians, the dominant culture. Revolution is the time now for the change. Metamorphosis.
I'm just a mystic man. I don't drink no champagne. Don't drink no champagne. No, I don't. And I'm a I don't sniff them cold take morphine. Don't take no morphine. Dangerous. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I don't take no heroin. Don't take no heroin. 'Cause I'm a man of the past and I'm living in the present and I'm walking in the future, stepping in the future, man of the past and I'm living in the present and I'm walking, I'm just a mystic man. Such a mystic man. Got to be a mystic man. Mystic man. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. Eat up your fried chicken. Eat up your fried chicken. Not like it. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. Eat up them frankfurters. Eat up the frankfurters. Garbage. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. Eat down the hamburger. Eat up. Can't do that. And I'm a dope. I'm a dope. I'm a dope. Drink pink, blue, yellow, green soda. Soda pop. Soda pop. 'Cause I'm a man of the past and I'm living in the present and I'm walking in the future, stepping in the future, man of the past and I'm living in the present and I'm walking, keep on.
Yeah, with the honoring touch as we go through. Yeah, still listening and paying homage to the man, Peter Touch. Taken away in 1987 through violence. And sometimes I have to wonder and question the whole nature of birth and death and what do we do in between? What is the purpose of life's struggle? Are we born just to die? Or do we put purpose to our life? The information that we get through our programming leans towards the direction wherein we are told to actually believe that our lives have been planned already. Yes, they tell us of a concept called destiny. This is a European construct now, you know, that has been pushed on us. And we don't ask questions about these things because we're too precautious. But destiny is a concept. Now, out of the Roman philosophy and out of the Roman teachings and out of the whole Bible construct, you're given the feeling, and it's reinforced in Sunday school, that your destiny is already designed by that same one God, Father God. Yeah, like, so when you're eventually conceptualized and egg and sperm come together, it's like your potential already defined. That they might tell us, you know. They might make you know, say, don't try be anything that you want to be. Don't bother try with that. It's set up already. Just go through. Anywhere the breeze blow, you just go. Because it is God's will. All right. So, here we are now. Posed with a concept of destiny. And then now we are introduced to the will. Yeah, the will. Destiny, first of all, we are told that it is something that is designed by the Almighty. That's another name for the first cause, the Almighty. So you have the Almighty Father God, the Most High, Jah, God Almighty. All of these phrases referring to this force that people say exists and is responsible and care. Yeah, that is the part that get to me now, Where's the evidence of this care thing and responsible? But anyway, destiny. So if you are of the view then that what the Bible says is so, then you have literally kind of surrendered your destiny, because it's no longer in your hands. It is now over in the hands of this force that you imagine to exist. So you cannot be what you really want to be. You don't even know what you want to be anymore, because you feel that your destiny is not in your hands. And then again, no, anything happen to a man say, why is the destiny that, If that is the case, then certain characters in history, we should never hold them responsible for their actions, like a man like Hitler then, and a man like Mussolini. So, in other words, we can't hold people responsible for them actions, because it's destiny. And it says God control destiny. What a thingy. So we turn that over now to a different set of people. They are now responsible for telling us how we must define our own existence. And then now the concept of the will. The same Bible again tell you that the greatest will is the will of the Father. In other words, there is no mother, and there is no mother's will. Everything now is masculine. So the will of the Father now, that they put it in a prayer. They say, our Father, who is in heaven, the same place we just talk about. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, and thy will be done on earth. So where is the will of the individual African? Where is the collective will of the African people? You mean we surrender that to the will of this God again in the sky? So this is why we are so crippled. With all the education, and with all the money we pass through on, we are still a crippled race. Because we have no will power. And we're not creating our own destiny. We are allowing our destiny to be created by those who have the power to dominate, and to control the media, and to determine that your children must wear a certain type of clothing. This is what we call in destiny. Where them will begin to look like some clones. And they're going to lose their consciousness and their identity and become locked into their cell phones and become little small robots. And I'm saying to the IDM, we're in a situation where we have to arrest that. We have to change our perception and change our view of certain philosophies that we hold on to without even knowing. In other words, now, it's a Sunday school curriculum is the foundation of our ignorance. Why we hold on to these boogeyman stories. Why intelligent people will accept that a man went at the mountain and spoke to a bush. And the bush talked back to him. Intelligent black people accept that. So that is why we can't go forward. Because we are held into a state of nonsense, a nonsense state. So the consciousness can't develop. So it's like Isaac. Isaac coming and the eye of the storm is formed and the storm powerful, and as soon as they put up the eye, the storm fade away. So we are suffering, and we have a health issue. Psychologically, we are suffering, and we need health treatment. It's not a biological thing. We need metaphysical help. Help into understanding our own being. Help to understand what we mean by willpower. Where is the willpower? How do we organize willpower in ourselves? What is the source of will? And how do we get the complement to work with the force of desire? How do we bring will desire, and imagination to work as a trinity. Metamorphosis.
Jah is the melody, oh, in my song. He is the symphony in my song. He is a sweet inspiration in my song. Yeah. It's the perfect meditation. When I'm feeling down, got nowhere to go, I get into myself and I put on a show in my song. That is the melody in my song. He is everything to me in my song. He is the musical beat in my song. He's the rhythm and tempo. And when you're feeling out, don't sit down and cry. Don't forget that the music is passing by in my song. That is the melody in my song. He's everything to me in my song. He's a sweet inspiration in my song. There is no complication. Cause in times like this, when people don't know what to do and get so frustrated, get into yourself and sing in my song. Oh, Jah is the melody, yeah, in my song. He's the symphony in my song. He's the rhythm, oh, in my song. He's everything to me in my song. In my song. In my song. No complication in my song. Jah is the melody in my song. He's the sweet inspiration in my song. He's the symphony, oh, in my song. He makes it feel so good in my song.
Yeah, Metamorphosis, rolling on Styles FM. Hail up Rastris in the New York side. And hail up all those who are on that side of the continent. Hail up those who are also further north, down into Canada. And of course, people on the land right here. You know, I book a man this evening and teach fee ill, you know. Man, heal me, you know. And I say, heal. And I say, yes. And I go and walk him and say, hold on, man, hold on. Him have a box in that man, you know. But look like him have something in the box, but the box kind of deep. And I could really see over in it, but him look like him have a box. I'm come up and I talk. And I say, what happened? I say, heal. I say, I know the eye, you know. I say, yeah. I say, from which part? I say, Buff Bay. And I say, what? And I tell me something that him start mention like Tonto, and him say, yeah man, I'm come all yard, you know. And I say, wow, man, give me a nice pear, you know. Him say, Same name Stinky Roots from Black Hill. So, me a hail I and all the brethren them from Black Hill and all the man them and woman them and people in Buff Bay, Western Portland and Otter Bay, St. Mary and the rest of the St. Mary parish. And as a matter of fact, hail up all the people in the land. This land called Jamrock. Now, continue to try to see if we can help to change some perspectives that we can liberate ourselves ultimately, because having knowledge and speaking about culture and is not sufficient, because we're doing these things repetitiously over the last 40, 50 years. So it's not enough. It is not enough. We have to begin to let go some of the things them now, rather than repeating the same things over and over. So the whole, ultimately, I am thinking that is one God concept of the control. Yeah, the concept of the one God. That whole way, you know. And we're calling the one God in all different terms, except mother, because we're under the patriarchal European construct that even black man stops seeing things through the lens of his own eyes and begin to view them through the white man lens, the white male. So we have to check it again, check yourself, check your thinking, and how is it we arrive at how we arrive at it. Epistemology, no matter what kind of words, how do we come to know what we know? And that what we know is reality. How do we know these things? So the foundation I'm saying to nearly all African people, black people in the Western world, is set up by the religious education that you get at Sunday school and what is reinforced in your house, in your home. And it's all around the fear of this one God. Rather than fearful of the enemy, which is supposed to be the devil or the Satan, we're not programmed to be afraid of Satan, you know. Because in the real terms, how the argument goes, Satan don't cause no problem. Satan don't cause no hurricane and no storm and no destruction and no... Everything is an act of God. All destructive behavior are acts of God. And when bad fortune reach man, him says it's the will of God. So you never hear about the will of Satan yet, causing anything to go wrong. So we have to keep checking out. What is this God thing that them set up? That we have to be prostrating ourselves and sending up our prayers and giving our money and all our energy and time. And we're in the same position. We see the Chinese as a nation, them not into no one God, them into them one family construct and them gone through. We see the Indians not into no one God thing, them have them multiplicity of gods and them into them space program and them going through. And we never see the black people now hugging up this one God and in a opposition now with the Satan and is a Jesus versus the devil and one piece of energy fighting amongst ourselves. Trying to define which one of us is more righteous, who is nearer to Jesus. All sort of idiotic struggles. When in the reality, the Chinaman is moving into Africa, the white man is returning, and the Indian has his eyes on Africa. And the black people are focusing on fighting between Allah and Jehovah. Who is mightier? Who is more righteous? Who will get a space in the kingdom of heaven? I want a space on the African continent. That's where I want a space. That is heaven, as far as I know. But we have lost our perspective. And we are viewing heaven as a place constructed in a Bible story. We have lost our touch with reality. We have lost our contact with earth. And until we begin to return to the foundation, which is the earth. Meaning eating from the earth, owning the earth, abstracting the resources from the earth, then we're always going to be slaves to those who do those things. So the dominance, the concept of being dominant, is something that the white man has promoted. And he's not ashamed to tell you that he is dominant. It's only one area in life that the white man cannot claim to be dominant. It's in athletics, it's in sports. And in that area, I'm telling you, the domination don't count. Dominance don't count. Because it's all physical there. The domination that him really want to focus on is the psychological and the military and the economic and the political. And so I must resist white domination in the psychology. And that white domination in psychology rests in our religious training, where the images are white, the angels, which are made just above man, mean the angels are superior and they are white. And then the kingdom of heaven with the son, who is a European, and a father who is also a European. If we continue to hold these perspectives, we will forever be slaves to white people and be slaves to the ideology of the Caucasians. And we forever be battling about white supremacy. There's nothing supreme about white. White is a dominant culture. Supremacy is about culture and hierarchy. Supremacy is about high standards and culture. And we can look at white people and define their culture as high. So there's no supremacy in whiteness. What we are experiencing is domination. And domination is constructed and maintained through force. And one of the forces of domination is injustice. And we look around the world, we look into Jamaica, we see that injustice actually rules. So where did we get this idea now about good overcoming evil? Where did that come from? If injustice is running the world. If racism is running the world, where did we get this idea about good overcoming evil? That is a fantasy. It's a fantasy because it is really the powerful that runs the earth. And the powerful don't have to be good. That is a critical point, you know. The powerful does not have to be good. But if you are good and you lack power, you become a victim to those who have the power. So black people now, within the context of our religious teachings, we are told that the only power we need is spiritual. We're not told about economic and military power, you know. We're told about spiritual power. And so we spend 2,000 years pursuing spiritual power. And the result is obvious. We are slaves and we are servants to all other groups. Time to change our perspective.
Take us to work. Take us on the go. Take us wherever you go. Styles FM.
Take Styles FM with you on the go. The number for USA 213-992-4360. That's 213-992-4360. And for the United Kingdom 033-0010-3322. That's 033-0010-3322.
Styles FM.
For a full range of modern eye care services, visit Ophthalmic Suites. We offer the latest laser technology in glaucoma care, LASIK vision correction, retinal and cataract surgery using premium implant technology, and so much more. From A to Z in eye health and vision care. Visit us at 34 Lady Musgrave Road. Telephone 630-0958 or 759-6449. Ophthalmic Suites, Jamaica's eye care technology center.
Also located at 14 Miramar Drive, Morant Bay, St. Thomas, 1 Bramonti Avenue, Maypen, 43 Fletchers Avenue, Linstead, and 65 Main Street, St. Anne's Bay.
This feeling is taking over me. I'm so excited.
Feeling
euphoria.
Tuesdays from 5 to 9 p.m. with the Master Mixer Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Giving a total satisfaction with melodies and memories by the score. With the widest selection of genres and hits. So you don't know that program you turn up, you know. So you know Patek's a full dance, the one you slap with.
Digital and we are party, yeah we flawless. Euphoria the program every Tuesday.
5 to 9 every Tuesday.
With the Musical Maestro Digital Team.
Do you have or are you seeking a place to rent, seeking employment or have a job vacancy? Are you selling a car or having a garage sale? Then come see us. Let Styles do the advertising for you and you'll be on your way in no time. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Advertising Style. Advertise with Styles.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Black. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Yes, Rasta. All them black people that belong to Africa. So we are keep the giddy and the hot. Hey, oh, Hey, Kalangola, up on my African Gola, Kalangola, up Shamalang, Gola, Kalangola. Me burn the fire from Babylon. Nah take no chat from Babylon. Cause a you corrupt, the ghetto youth, we don't know wicked act, we know Babylon. When me walk, I trample down Babylon. Talk and ride down Babylon. Who know always there with your clans and plans. One come trapping the man who no think who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. No who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. Who no think who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. No who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. True religion, you bomb down a Lebanon. Lick yourself and a blame Afghanistan. We do no tricks and cons, implement a plan. Then you go dig down Saddam. We see you a draw nearer and nearer. But the Isle mama got nah go share ya. Oh, me nah get scared. We defend the square. Oh, Pasha Shamalang girl, you no can come take Mama Africa from we again. Who no think who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. No, who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. Who no think who no can come take Mama Africa from we again. Them no like when we are dinner the hills. Them want we stay here fi pay them bills. When you think say you are save little cabbage. Them alone account off the mills. It's an authentic reggae beat. Let me skank off the shoes off of my feet. I get 3 Peter touch, 2 Bob Marley, and the little berry sound sweet. You no can come take Mama Africa from we again. Who no think you no can come take Mama Africa.
Yeah, Jabuki. You wondering if them can take it again? Them, it depends on the agenda. The recolonization of Africa is on the agenda for all other races. And they're not working in tandem, you know. They're working separately, but they have the same agenda. How to colonize the continent. Because the resources are more than needed because of the extensive work now taking place in space. It makes Africa even more important than when the Europeans would just come out of the caves. At that time, they needed the resources, of course, the medicine, the lumber. They needed everything to build Europe. Now they're trying to build their own another civilization in a different planet, and requires almost all the resources now out of the earth. And it is Africa, the continent, that is the belly of this resource. Now, again, when the European, the aliens, them came into the continent, the first wave of Europeans, Greeks, they didn't seem to be very invasive to the extent that they came as colonizers. As I said, it started with the Romans, and they came with them conquest ideology. Of course, the barbarian Europeans came later on, 1200s, 1400, the Europeans, meaning the Portuguese and the French and these other groups. And it's really them now formalize the methods of domination and oppression. Them formalize it. And they put it into doctrine and into systems of and institutions. They put this ideology of domination and dominance. And it was all about promoting the culture of white people, the culture of Europe, to prove that the European culture is superior to all other cultures. And within the culture, you have your religion. And so you have to be proving that the European religion now is superior to the religions of Africa. And once you begin to challenge along the line of religions, you're going to talk about the deities. So the battle now becomes between the deities of Europe and the deities of Africa. We're talking about gods now and goddesses and those levels of man's imagination and creativity. What we know for sure is that when the British and the Spanish done with the black man in the Western world, the black man was heavily indoctrinated under the concept of the one God, which is the Roman Catholic concept of the one God. So we were now, remember now, the ancient Egyptians had a one God concept in the Aton, created by the Pharaoh Akhenaten. That one God was a God of mercy and a God of justice. Now we are introduced now as a slave population to a one God now who is a God of jealousy and a God of war. And this one God now will be drilled into the consciousness of black people, because look at it this way now. We understand that resistance was innate to the black man. We are always in resistance to this white domination. And so the resistance took the form of looting and burning of plantations and killing of white people whenever we could. Because none of us really accepted this enslavement, constant rebellion. And so the Europeans had to sit down and figure out a way how to slow down the black wave. And remember now, we outnumber them. So think about it now, 1,500 black men and 50 white men. So we outnumber them. They have more weapons than us. And they realize that when night come, we are at our most dangerous, because them can't control you at night the way them control you at daytime. So the white men had their own conferences, and they had to come up with a plan how to keep the raging, rebellious Africans. How do you keep them calm during the night? Because the white man want to sleep. Him want to sleep till when night come, but him can't sleep because him have to watch and peep, because at any minute a fire can start. And you see that dude too, him slick and sly. Him knows him how to design something that would prevent the black man from even thinking about rebelling at nights. And that something could not have been something material, because you can't point a gun upon the man at night time. They invented something that would be psychological, something that would be mental. And so the concept of the God now, the all-powering God, was forced into the brains of black people that we actually think know that God watching us when night come. And just like Santa Claus, you remember the song? You better watch out. Santa Claus is coming to town. He sees you when you're sleeping. And he knows when you are awake. And he knows whether you're doing bad or good. So be good for Jesus' sake. That is the program. And so the fear of this Father God, this thing that them drill away in, allow the white man to sleep when night come. And not only that, now we pray to God when night come, that God will protect us till the morning come. And when the morning come and we start work and get beaten, we don't pray to God for protection, No. It's when night come, now we're going to sleep. We're afraid. Because them tell us we might dead in our sleep. And then the God can carry through. You imagine that? The same God will carry through the middle passage, carrying us through the night so we can remain slaves. Think about your perspective to that God. Metamorphosis. It could just be an illusion. That concept of God, an illusion of the mind.
Cold ground was my bed last night, and rock was my pillow too.
The lines are open. 4531444. You can say your say. Metamorphosis. Dr. Iman Black here.
I'm saying talking blues, talking blues, talking blues, talking. They say your feet is just too big for your shoes. Talking blues, talking blues, talking blues, talking blues. Your feet is just too big for your shoes. I've been down on the rock for so long, so long. I seem to wear a permanent screw. Yeah. I've been down on the rock for so long, so long. I seem to wear a permanent screw. But I'm gonna stare in the sun. Let the rain shine in my eyes. I'm gonna take just one step more, 'cause I feel like booming at church. Now that you know that the preacher is lying, so who's gonna stay at home when the freedom fighters are fighting? Talking blues, talking blues, talking blues. They say your feet is just too big for your shoes. Oh, talking blues, talking, keep on talking blues, talking blues. They say, you hear what they say? Didn't you hear? Cold ground was my bed. Bed last night. Rock stone, rock stone, rock stone was my pillow.
Yeah, the sounds of Robert Nesta Marley and the Jamaican government promoting Marley. Y'all hear about one love. Let's get together and feel alright. Rastafari was never about one love feeling alright with the whole world. It was about one love amongst Rastafari and African and black people. Because we're not taking responsibility for the whole world. Can't demand the whole world love and love. We want to love the whole world. We were promoting self-love, love of race. So we kind of see where we're there, that it is really the preacher is a main agent for maintaining the enslavement of the black population. That's why when Bob sings that him feel like bombing a church, the government will not promote a song like this. Because this is the reality now that I am facing as a black man on the earth and as a Rastafari. Bob said him feel like bombing a church because him know that the preacher is lying. And it is the lying and the hypocrisy now that is most painful when we begin to observe the condition of black people globally. It's the lying and the deception. Because the old philosophy is based upon deception. The old philosophy of the Bible and Christianity is deception. And people are willing to be deceived and pass on deception to their children and say it is nothing because it's just, I just saw it goes. They begin to call it tradition. So when deception becomes tradition, you know, we have lost our way. So the preacher man is a main agent for promoting the teachings of white European philosophy. And they themselves are not too equipped to even question what they are teaching. They must regurgitate in. So what does the preacher say? The preacher said the Bible say. And you ask him, say the Bible say. Because there is no consciousness that allows him to say of himself. He repeats phrases and cliches that are in the book, but there is no thought. Because those who are embraced in that book are not thinkers. They are reciters and regurgitators. And they memorize phrases and passages, but they do not think. Because thinking is a critical process, you know. Thinking means you're looking pro and con. And critically now, thinking means you recognize that there are more than two sides to every argument. More than two sides. But the early education they get is that everything is either or either. So it's either good or evil. Yet, there is indifference. It's either positive or negative, yet there is neutral. So how is it we are saying one thing and teaching one thing, but in the reality, it's not true? It's deception. And we practice deception from early. We practice deception amongst our own children, even when you tell them about things like Santa Claus. Because you know that it's not a reality. But the impression it brings to the child is that there is a force that is bigger than you, even as a parent. And that this force can do good that the parent cannot even do. And this force is clothed in white. So we have to be careful now how we promote this concept of white domination. The preacher will maintain the verses, telling people that they must be like something like white as snow and, you know, all kind of imagery. And they themselves don't have much exposure to even the Queen's language, which is English. So we get a book that is filled with metaphors. We get a book that has fables, that has allegories, that has rhymes, that has songs. We get a book that has 66 different writings, but we know that over maybe 20 have been left out. Selective books have been given to us, and these books we have been told are the words of God. The same one God again now, you know, that tie up in some sky far away. It is this one God that we are told that gives instructions. And it is this one God that will define whether we go to hell or whether we go to heaven. The ancients, before being overpowered by this one God concept, recognized that there are multitude of forces that make up the cosmos, and each force could be classified as a god. As a matter of fact, I will say this: the people on the continent of Africa were not known as Africans before the Europeans. They were known as the gods, because the continent was known as the continent of the gods. That was our title. We were the gods. Males and females, no goddess business, you know, because we never have no English language to talk about the female being a goddess and the male being a god. The males and females, we were a race of called the gods. And the lose will lose that and think that the gods are something that is up into the sky. We are the race of gods. And there is human beings and there is man. We have to redefine ourselves, because it's them tell us, say, it's only two forms of life, animals and plants. A European tell me that, you know. And if you accept that perspective, it means that you are an animal because you don't want to call yourself a plant. And once you're an animal, you have lost your divinity. You have lost the consciousness of being a divine being, and you're going to behave like an animal. And yet, animals don't have no police. But humans have police. So who is the savage? Metamorphosis.
Don't let the reverend turn you fool, people. Don't let him use you as a tool. Don't let the reverend turn you fool, people. Don't let him use you as a tool. Foreign God is in Vatican and him send him here to rape the land, and him come to we like a simpleton, holding the Bible in his hand. Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Get rid of evil from the root. Tell them your God is in Vatican and him send you here to rape the land, and him come to we like a simpleton, holding the Bible in your hand. Your God is in Vatican and him send you here to rape the land, and you come to we like a simpleton, holding the Bible in your hand. Why don't you tell the people the truth? Tell them the truth. Why don't you tell the people the truth? Why don't you tell the people the truth, Reverend? Don't let the Reverend turn you fool, people. Don't let him use you as a tool.
Yeah, the agent of colonization, an agent of control and repression. The police force is such a nature. But even more subtle than brute force is the psychological, mental force that is really what the preacher and the politicians are all about. How do you control the population psychologically, mentally? And so the preacher, he's assigned to take care of what is called the spirit. And then people are told that they have a spirit, and the spirit is what is more important than the body. And they're trying to save them spirit. And the preacher now is given a role that him have this connection now to the one God that the people don't have. It's just like the Vatican and the Pope. The Pope is a connection to the one God too. And the Vatican calls the Pope the vicar of Jesus, meaning he represents the Jesus on the earth. So them set up all of these little derricks. Everybody have them direct links to the Jesus or to the God, except the people. And the people must pay dearly now. Pay dearly. And upkeep certain guys, finance and mind them. Give them a good quality of life and give their children a good quality of life that they can maintain the links to the one God for them, because they can't do it by themselves. Poor sheep. So what you have is control, not a level of slavery. And what is being exposed now is abuse that these men have been conducting over the last 2,000 years, because it really began in Rome, in the seat of the Vatican. And that is where the whole thing now is being, it is like a sore, broke out. And we recognize now the level of sexual violence and abuse being conducted through these churches. It's the same church, that is the one God is in control of, And this one God that oversee all of these little children being sodomized by these men who can't manage a female, but abuse little boys, destroy their lives. Unlike in Jamaica now, where our abusers going for little girl them too. You see it? The one them in the room now, them strictly homosexual, them afraid of woman. So them abuse up all the little young boys them, that them grow big and those boys become abused and become disturbed in their relationships, and it creates a serious cycle. Now the Pope of Rome, him is now pardoning these men, these vultures who descend on young flesh, and him going to pardon them in the name of God again. So black people must realize that this God thing not for I. No, not this one that the man is bringing us. This is not something that we must embrace gladly. It's something that we must be quickly rejecting. But then there's a fear, because no, if you reject that, the question is them say, where are you going to hold on to? What you need to hold on to? You need to hold on to your history. You need to hold on to your culture. You need to hold on to your identity. You need to hold a perspective that is Afrocentric. And there's nothing else to hold on to that is non-material. Other than that, you have to hold on to some money. Yeah, you have to hold some money now, so that you can have some power in the practical world. Because all those other things before was all in the psychology. Now we want to get into the practical world, we have to have money. And the money power now is where the Europeans and the church tell black people that them don't need no money power, because life on earth is just a little pass through. It's a pass through, because the greater life is in that same heaven in the sky. And I'm saying to the item, even though each individual passing through, we are here for generations upon generations. So the focus must be on posterity. So when we focus on posterity, I and I will always be here. That's why we come and see it and we're going to leave it. But we have to do our role between birth and death, which is to upgrade the race, upgrade the family, upgrade yourself. That is our mission. Upgrade the individual, upgrade the family, upgrade the race. That there is perpetuity and continuity. And for those who into the reincarnation and recycling process of life, set it up good for yourself from now. If you're planning to make a return, set it right. Metamorphosis.
For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205. or email akonautotech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM, for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Black. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Bigger movie, kill this track.
Listen to me now, brother.
Where you stand,
contradicting yourself.
Run it Salvador, tell them say.
Listen to me now.
Contradiction is global.
Yeah, contradiction global. The madness taking over. Too much man in a mix up. One bag a mix up. Rasta and himself.
Too many idolize badness and slackness. Island in the sun just falling in a darkness. One love and one heart where the heart there. Nowadays you no cool if you no heartless. Flashy with a 9 like you lawless. Like justice I buy out a wallet. Well that a 6 for a 9 and a 9 in the waist, then a sentence to life car.
Contradiction global. A madness taking over. One bag a mix up, Rasta and himself.
Contradiction global. Still good conquer evil. David still struggle yet make one wall a vibe, yeah. Well, Margarita no flankers. Where bullets are on pom pom pom. Who I call them big shots there? He might do it from a mansion. Slowly, like cancer spread out. So contradiction, run the thing, yeah. Hey. Hey.
Me now watch no face, beg no more pardon. Enough drugs, money they a cherry garden. Enough individual society applauding. You can ask anybody where them get them starting. But no politician take a donation. So no criminal will never see a station. Never see a cell, not even a courthouse. But every Sunday we see them take a boat out. North Coast Resort and car dealership. The construction company, them just don't legit. Usually what she money turn it round and hide it. When the kickback them come in, the government delighted. So police cancel operation, cause no real bad man a go station. Now if you check the situation, a blood money running nation. Come take a look in a Jamaica. Injustice in the place now. If what you see no really face you, then you are the problem what we face though. Was about to buy a next 60 now. Maybe then I never have to be a prisoner. Maybe then I coulda not turn in my firearm. Police couldn't come remand, come me like me run an army. Was about to be a politician too. Maybe
Metamorphosis into the final 20 minutes. Can't come out without coming into Jamaica. Specifically. Because I am seeing a climate developing here that has nothing to do with climate in terms of weather. But it is whether or not the people of this country have really awakened or are they really in a deeper slumber. What I mean is that there is an atmosphere now being generated by the politicians. Because I say, two agents that are responsible for the enslavement of the people are maintaining the enslavement. It's the preachers and the politicians. And the politicians now are more active because they are put in the position of governance. And so they have to make decisions that impact on almost everybody's life. And what we find now, I observe, is just that there was this conference recently and the opposition party have decided to bring a new slate to the people, a new slate of vice presidents. And there were 6 of them in contention and 4 prevailed. The 2 who got left out was the old guard, virgin named Fenton from St. Thomas. He got left out because time is up. And the female, who was supposed to be carrying on the legacy of the previous Prime Minister, Portia Simpson, she dropped out of the race. So the people, them cut off that history, and them cut off that past, it appears. And they seem to be moving towards youths, but it's still a men's club, because now there are no women involved. So it's youths, 2 of them in their 30s, and 2 of them is veterans. And what you're seeing happening now is like what we call a facial. It's like somebody getting a facial. But it goes a little deeper than that, because the population seems to be excited that there is going to be a challenge now to the status quo. Because the status quo, it's backfiring, it's struggling. It's really, really struggling, because governing this island is no simple task, and they never set up as a simple place to govern. And the governance structure that has been left by the British doesn't benefit the 95% black majority of this country. So they find that whoever is governing at the moment will always have difficulties because of the nature of the society and the nature of the politics and the economics and the fact that the country is always in borrow. So the ones who are out of office can always tell you what to do exactly and perfectly. And when they go into office, the one who was in office now can tell you what the one out of office should have done. And it's a cycle. It's a cycle. The better ideas of governance come when they're in opposition. And when they're in power, the ideas fade away. And not that the ideas fade away, is that the structure gives each party 5 years. And by the time the party gone 2 years, there is a clamor for change and uncertainty, and then there's a need for a snap election. So neither party gets 5 years focus on whatever they're planning to do. So the structure don't work. It doesn't work. No matter what the intentions are, the structure doesn't allow parties to provide service that is sustainable for the country. So it no matter then. It doesn't matter who is in and who is out. And I've observed that from 1980s, consistently, because I'm on there from 1980. I was here during the deliverance process. And I'm here in the prosperity process. And I go through the 18 years of orange country. And the same plantation society is here. Poverty has increased. It has gotten greater in the mentality. People may have get a little bit more dribblings, but the mind has declined. And the preachers and the politicians are not trying to lift the mind of the people, because lifting the mind meaning change the political structure. It's not a matter of a PNP or a JLP. It's about removing the Governor General and removing that parallel government. Removing that queen structure means removing the Governor General first. So it matters not which orange or which are green is in the driving seat. It doesn't matter who is the passenger. The population never benefits from the ride. So the change will come when the revolution becomes a political one, and it's geared not at the PNP or the JP, but it's geared at removing the Governor General. That is the first vestige that must be removed to move the country towards sovereignty. Because political independence suggests sovereignty. And you cannot be a sovereign nation with a Governor General running your island. So the revolution that I man speak of is not about PNP and JLP, because them is flip-flop. It no matter who is in. It no matter whether them young or them old. The ideology is one of extracting the resources of Jamaica. The British did it and extracted the resources and sent it to England. The leaders do the same process. They extract it, but they don't send it to England. They give it to them family and them friend. So the families and friends benefit from the extracted resources of Jamaica under this political structure. There will be no change in the behavior of these men when they enter the house of Bakra men. It's a Bakra man house. They call it parliament. It's a Bakra man, them go in there and them talk all them big talk, drink all them rum, and the people on the outside can't do nothing about it. Form them policies, and it has to be rubber stamped by their leader, which is the Governor General. None of the people in Jamaica vote for him, but he's in charge. So it's him we have to focus on for the political change to take place, not the parties. It is him who presents a speech before the Parliament open, representing Her Majesty. If we want to get from under Her Majesty's skirt and stand up as man and people, we have to get rid of that office. That office is redundant. We must observe that office along with the customs of each parish, who does nothing technical, nothing practical, nothing economical for the society. So there's excitement about politics now. Even in Portland, where the party in power now, the JLP, they are now making a move in an area that was considered to be owned by the PNP. Can you imagine that? These parties can own areas. Now we have a movement from the governing party into an area that was called safe. And it's pure excitement, but it's the same talk. Because resources is what is needed. And under the central government ideology, resources can't come to these places. So we have to revolutionize how we even structure the country and look at it in regions. I want to speak also a little bit to St. Thomas and the wiping out of their economy by the closing down of the sugarcane lands and the factories, and we know that Surge Island gone and Goodyear not coming back. I said to the item, no, the lands are there, and it's time that St. Thomas people them think seriously now about the hemp. Because the factories are there, the factories just need to be retooled. And an ideology comes that will show where hemp can be the way out. Because hemp will grow easily in those lands. And hemp will bring industry to St. Thomas. So a pilot project I am saying St. Thomas is the place. Portland and St. Thomas need a combination to lift the region that the politicians them can't see. The politicians are into their families and into their friends. They're not into the region and they're not into the people. So it's a hemp is the way forward. In Clarendon, same thing with the sugar lands. In St. Thomas, the sugar lands already have factories that are set up for sugar cane. But sugar cane is no longer king. What we need to make king now is hemp. And if hemp becomes king, the life of the people in Jamaica will change dramatically. And we can really talk about waging a war against poverty when we have ammunition. And the ammunition we have is agriculture and industry. I message to St. Thomas people when they rise up and protest and demand that the sugar lands be considered to be lands where hemp should grow. And the sugar factories should be re-kitted, retooled. And we try to transform the region from backwaters into first world territory. Well, I'm St. Thomas people, and they don't think they deserve that. Well, I'm Portland people in the east. Yeah, we say the revolution comes through economics and consciousness of sovereignty. We have to move that GG. Yeah, like yesterday.
I know enough of them woulda want we gone. I know them woulda want me gone. Sit down every day and I wish we had much time on them hands, you know. But why would a king ever fear a boss? A king would never fear them. So what them a go do when them hear this war? Bang bang. Yes, no take tellings, want me no fi say this. Man, we see your farm and gone in and you let this. People mean your harm, you can't tell what a friend is. Grudge you for your paper, scorn you for your pennies. When you no see me gone, forget replenish. Back up in the morning, can't forget the message, no. Avocado, she feel for me, Senny. Yeah, man, banana is sweet, pushy belly. Jeez, I want make life sweet, so like a jelly. Climb feet, it hard, can't easy, so forget it. Sang the pan the radio, video pan the telly. Loving on me heart, me a spread the catchy medi.
People, oh people, expectation. Will they love you? No guarantee. People, oh people, need salvation. Will they save you? No guarantee.
Some no like how you live, want to carry you go court. Some will burn every bridge and still I look for support. Jealousy is a cloud, check the weather report. That's why me tighten the ship and then me arm up the fort. Now the biggest of foes, once the closest of friends. But you know how it goes, how the fake will pretend. Some will shake off your hand and break bread in your house. Soon as you turn your back, them will run up on your spouse. Some will say you no rat, and you jump in a Benz. Like me never see still I see in a couple of them. Some will watch what you earn and account what you spend. Always want if you borrow, never have if you lend. But you see
People, oh people, expectation. Will they love you? No guarantee. Oh no guarantee. People, oh people, need salvation. Will they save you? No guarantee. No guarantee.
no matter where them a go, say me a fi live me life. No worries for me head when me a go a bed at night. Mommy, daddy, sister, yara, everybody nice. Cousin and T-Virgin, them a fi get a slice. Man, them use to pack a thing and put it on a bike. Send you go a town and then them cheap on a flight. When you reach a foreign, them a go triple the price. Benz in a community and be malaka. Rice, get well with the ones and so them a fi do it twice. One day underground, the other one a jail for life. A valuable lesson, nothing happen overnight.
People got expectations. Will they love you? No guarantee. People all need salvation. Will they save you?
the people who look to politics and politicians as their saviors, those are people who are already doomed. Because at the local level, politicians really have no real solution that is sustainable for the vast majority of the people in this country. Because for 50 years, there are places where there's still no road and still no water and still no light and still no amenities and hospitals, still no any services in there. And so there's no infrastructure to sustain the population that is here. So we have a Jamaican population here, and the politicians are the example where they have 1 foot in Jamaica and 1 foot in America. They all have their green cars and them alien cars, and when them get sick, they don't go to the hospitals in Jamaica. Them fly themselves and them children to Miami. So we're not getting any leadership here that is committed to Jamaica when it comes to politicians. We need some new laws where the politicians them have to give up them green card if they become MPs. That would be interesting to see how many of them would abandon the MP work and hold on upon them green card. Because it's a matter of loyalty and commitment, you know. We're lacking those things in the society here. Those who are leaders are all about ego. And me, and the me. And beyond the me is a family. And I, as a youth, always knew that Jamaica was run by families. In the 60s, they told us that there were 21 families that run Jamaica. And by 1980, I heard that there were 25 families that run Jamaica. It's not the politicians run Jamaica. It's the wealthy families that finance the political organizations in which these people are. So the politicians are usually poor to begin with. And they go into politics with the ambition to get rich. And it becomes very evident when they come out that they have more than what they went in with. Not only do they have more materially, them neck get fatter and them waist get bigger. So we have to look at our governing structure as flawed. Not so much the individuals in there. The structure is flawed. And so it doesn't matter which individual goes in there. The behavior is going to come out crooked. So when you hear government people talk about corruption here and corruption there, corruption has been a part of the cultural politics from the days of Henry Morgan. Yeah, corruption. So we're not overwhelmed now by hearing one party slander the other party as the most corrupted. And who is the most corrupted? The word is overused now. That corruption is becoming normalized. Yeah, and robbery and piracy is norm. Remember, this is an island of piracy. And the House of Parliament is a house of pirates. One leader called them gangs. So the country is being ruled by 2 gangs. And then we talk about gangster behavior. We're talking about gangs in the island and youths joining gangs. The biggest sample of gangs is what we have in the parliament. So the structure needs to be taken down. And unlike Guy Fawkes, who was brave enough to put some explosives in the English parliament just that someone catch it before them go off. We don't have that type of commitment here because the people here are not committed to the island. The people cannot be committed to the island because primarily we don't even own Jamaica. Half of we don't own the land. So many of our population are squatters that how can you get commitment to the island? So it is left up to people who live outside now to come in and control. And so that's exactly what's happening. Of the lands being bought out by aliens, Europeans, foreigners, buying out Jamaica. Some of the prime properties. What is not being bought is being given away in large chunks to the Chinese and other groups. Well, I said to the item, let us not forget that at the foundation of our existence, Africa is our home. We are in the Caribbean, we're in the Antilles, and wherever we are, that's where Africa is. So here in Jamaica, we need a movement that will bring the consciousness of black people to the front. and remove the queen and her heirs and her successors and make the island a place where we really want to live and to work and to have children and do all those things that the vision articulates. But we have to clean up the house first. And before we clean up the house, we have to clean up our own internal state of mind. We have to clear up our own consciousness. We have to remove all the boogeyman and the voodoo and the fears. Well, let's into the voodoo. We have to remove all the Christianity and Islam. Because we're much, much safer with the voodoo. So, metamorphosis. Yeah, we're here again. And we're here to stay. To say the things that has to be said. And giving thanks to my engineer, Cassidy, who do enough things when I'm not here. And make it look like everything is everything, same way. Yes, I. So, again, heal them and re-examine yourself about this thing that you're calling upon, that is, you think is up in the sky. And I'm going to wrap up by telling you, sir, I'm ancient in above you have a reason just ready. And we talk about the same God in the sky. And them say, him say, God is a man in me. And I say, well, yes, brethren. Him say, God is a man in me. And I man just say, yeah, true. Well, God is the I in man. Metamorphosis. I'm on Black. Going out.
Conquering Lion of Judah. Yeah. Oh Lord, Jah come now, Rastafari. Send your kingdom come now. Yeah. Jah come now.
Heal up D. Yes. Security guard making through the night to see it.
Mercy